how can the company with 13 billion in revenues make 1.4 trillion of spend commitments? And you've heard the criticism,
First
Sam.
of all, we're doing well more revenue than that. Second of all, Brad, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer. Enough. People are. I think there's a lot of people who would love to buy OpenAI shares. I don't think you would,
including myself. Including myself.
People who talk with a lot of breathless concern about our compute stuff or whatever that would be thrilled to buy shares. So I think we could sell, your shares or anybody else's to some of the people who are making the most noise on Twitter, whatever, about this very quickly. We do plan for revenue to grow. Enough.
Welcome to Money Daily. So why does OpenAI's boss, Sam Altman, look so visibly irritated here? This guest is simply pointing out a basic fact. OpenAI has committed to spending over $1 trillion on AI infrastructure over the next 8 years, while its current annual recurring revenue is only around $13 billion, less than 1% of what it has promised to spend. If you've actually looked at OpenAI's financials and dug down into the underlying cash flow, you'll discover something chilling. This company is burning cash at an almost suicidal pace. And as early as the beginning of 2025, Sam Altman floated an even more shocking number: $7 trillion. This isn't Zimbabwe dollars. It's not Indonesian rupiah. This is real US dollars. He said he needs this money to reshape the global semiconductor industry, to massively expand chip manufacturing and related infrastructure, including fabs, data centers, and power supply, so his artificial intelligence can have enough compute to change the world. So what does $7 trillion actually mean? If you took that money in $100 bills and laid them end to end, they could travel from Earth to the moon and back 14 times. When someone casually throws out a number like that, you should realize something immediately. This is no longer a startup story. This is a civilization-scale industrial gamble. In today's video, we're going all in on a full, no-holds-barred deep dive. Because what's at stake here isn't just business. It's energy, it's water, and it's the underlying logic of human civilization itself. Don't miss this episode. Okay, let's go.
First, we have to acknowledge this. Sam Altman's current situation is like someone driving a Ferrari flat out on the highway, suddenly realizing the fuel tank is leaking, and the next gas station is still 500 kilometers away. In December 2025, OpenAI was in talks with investors about a new funding round, with a target valuation as high as $750 billion. Inside the AI world, there's an open secret: compute hunger. People might think ChatGPT is already incredibly smart, but for Altman, this is nowhere near enough. His real goal is AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, a system that can think like a human or even be smarter than humans. To build this god, the data and compute required grow exponentially. And he has even made a promise. Once machine intelligence crosses a certain critical threshold, all of our problems will be solved.
Cancer, democracy, climate change, this cancer and that one, and heart disease, poverty, important new scientific discoveries, a more equal world, the housing crisis.
But here's the reality right now. Every time you ask ChatGPT a question, the electricity consumed behind the scenes is enough to keep a light bulb on for more than 10 minutes. At the same time, chips are in extremely tight supply, especially GPUs and AI accelerators. So Altman proposed a truly radical plan. In January 2025, Stargate made a high-profile debut at the White House. OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle announced a rolling $500 billion investment over 4 years, with $100 billion deployed immediately, to build 20 hyperscale AI data centers across the United States, creating what they called the largest AI infrastructure project in history. Masayoshi Son took the role of chairman, and for a moment, the momentum looked unstoppable. But this was only the first step. The $7 trillion, that was the ultimate ambition. Then, just 2 months later, reality started to cool things down. In March, construction began at the Abilene, Texas site, planned for 64,000 NVIDIA GB200 chips, with 16,000 in the first phase. But disagreements between SoftBank and OpenAI over equity structure, data sovereignty, and capital deployment schedules became public. Cracks in the partnership started to show. By May, multiple media outlets reported that the project had stalled. The full $500 billion was still not secured, and the planned summer installation timeline was pushed back. To protect ChatGPT's compute needs, OpenAI bypassed SoftBank and signed directly with third-party data center providers. By July, the targets were scaled down even further, and the newly released GPT-5 delivered a mediocre performance, trailing Google's Gemini 3.0 and xAI's Grok across multiple benchmarks. At the same time, people kept pointing out the growing mismatch. around $10 billion in annualized revenue, but a valuation exceeding $500 billion. So the real question is this: should we trust Altman? Should we accept this deal? Altman is asking society to put all our eggs, our data, our economy, our water resources, our infrastructure, everything, into one single basket. His logic is classic Silicon Valley software thinking. In software, the world is flat. Resistance is close to zero. As long as you have money, you can stack people and code and copy endlessly. Users can grow infinitely. You finish building an app today, and tomorrow 1 billion people can download it, with almost no marginal cost. Altman believes hardware should work the same way. That if he throws $7 trillion at the problem, he can copy and paste 20 TSMCs around the world, and flood the planet with compute like running water from a tap. But he forgets, or chooses to ignore, one fundamental truth: atoms are not bits. The software world is made of bits. It's light. It has no weight. The hardware world is made of atoms. It has mass. It needs water. It needs electricity. It needs land. And most of all, it needs the engineers in cleanroom suits, holding their bladder for hours inside dust-free fabs, keeping the entire system running.
By the end of 2025, even though TSMC is expanding capacity at full throttle, supply chain sources say chip production is still fully booked well into 2026 and beyond. No matter how anxious Altman gets, he still has to stand in line. But that's not even the most desperate part. Altman's Stargate doesn't just devour cash, it devours the rarest resource on Earth: energy. Altman has been very explicit about this. OpenAI needs more power. According to plans disclosed by the media, if this supercomputing center is to run at full capacity by 2028, its electricity demand would reach 5,000 megawatts. Yeah, do you know what that means? That level of demand is dozens to hundreds of times larger than a traditional large enterprise data center. It's equivalent to the total output of 5 large nuclear power plants, and in fact exceeds the total electricity consumption of some small countries. New York City's peak power demand is around 10,000 megawatts. Altman's single data center would consume half of New York City's electricity. Under the current US power grid, which is already aging and under strain, conjuring up that much electricity in just a few years is basically a fantasy. Getting approval alone to build a new nuclear power plant can take 10 years. Altman can't wait 10 years. He can't even wait 10 months. To deal with this, Microsoft made a world-shocking move back in 2024, supporting the restart of the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant. Do you know what 3 Mile Island is? It's the site of the worst nuclear accident in US history, for AI and powering ChatGPT. Silicon Valley giants have already started reaching for nuclear power. That's how insane this gamble is. They're not just challenging physics, they're pushing against the very limits of public fear. And it doesn't stop there. Nuclear plants need water for cooling, and a 5,000 megawatt data center consumes a staggering amount of water every single day. In places like Arizona's deserts or water-stressed California, where does that water come from? Are they going to compete with local farmers for drinking water? At this point, this is no longer just a business or technology problem. This is a potential trigger for social instability, a battle over resource allocation, public order, and political power.
Right now, OpenAI looks like a canary kept in a cage by Microsoft. Microsoft needs it to boost its stock price, but it's also ready at any moment. If this bird can't fly anymore or becomes too expensive, it'll be replaced immediately. Microsoft has already started bringing open source models like Mistral and Meta's Llama onto the Azure cloud platform. The message is obvious. They don't want to bet everything on a single horse. But beyond money and competitors, OpenAI is facing an invisible wall. And this wall may be even scarier than running out of cash: data exhaustion and model collapse. The reason GPT-4 and its successors are so powerful is simple. They've consumed almost all high-quality human-generated content on the internet: books, papers, code, news. But by 2025, the speed at which humans generate new data is no longer keeping up with the speed at which AI consumes it. To feed an even more hungry next-generation model, OpenAI has been forced to rely heavily on synthetic data, AI-generated data used to train AI. On the surface, this sounds great, almost like a perpetual motion machine. But scientists have discovered something deeply disturbing, known as model collapse. Think of it like mad cow disease. What caused mad cow disease? Humans fed cows meat and bone meal made from other cows. Cannibalism in the food chain led to catastrophic contamination. AI works the same way. If GPT-6 grows up eating garbage generated by GPT-5, its intelligence doesn't evolve. It degrades. It becomes more mediocre and eventually starts hallucinating nonsense. According to a research report released in 2025 on AI data contamination, once more than 50% of internet content is AI generated, the training efficiency of large models falls off a cliff. And that directly challenges the core logic behind OpenAI's $750 billion valuation.
If models can't get infinitely stronger, if the scaling laws stop working, then hasn't OpenAI already hit its ceiling? At the end of the day, Altman is trapped on all sides. He's fighting biology itself. Data exhaustion and talent loss are draining the soul out of the company. And speaking of talent, we can't avoid the massive personnel earthquake at OpenAI from 2024 to 2025. The first to leave was the company's spiritual totem, Chief Scientist Ilya Sutskever. As one of the key figures behind the earlier move to remove Altman, Ilya firmly believed that AI safety must come before commercial interests. He saw a future where AI could spiral out of control. Altman just wanted to step on the gas. Ilya's departure marked a complete rupture between safety-first and accelerationist factions inside OpenAI. Soon after, the so-called mother of ChatGPT, CTO Mira Murati, abruptly announced her resignation. Leaving with her were Chief Research Officer Bob McGrew and Jane Lakey, head of the Super Alignment team. When Jane Lakey left, she delivered a line that hit like a thunderclap. Safety culture and processes have taken a back seat to shiny products. This is like a nuclear submarine traveling at full speed, when suddenly the first officer, the chief engineer, and the safety officer all jump ship. Yes, in November 2025, OpenAI co-founder Greg Brockman returned to the company after a 3-month sabbatical. But this felt more like damage control PR, an attempt to stabilize morale, because the ship's course had already changed. According to Reuters, OpenAI has now fully transformed into a for-profit public benefit company. Under this new structure, the nonprofit board's control has been diluted. Altman will receive real equity, rumored to be worth billions of dollars, while the interests of investors like Microsoft are placed first. For scientists who joined OpenAI to benefit all of humanity, this feels like a betrayal. They're realizing that the AGI they trained day and night may ultimately exist just to sell more Microsoft Office bundles, or to fuel stock rallies for Broadcom and Nvidia. This kind of value fracture is more devastating than losing $5 billion, because the real moat of the AI industry is people. When the smartest minds flow to Anthropic, to xAI founded by Elon Musk, or back to Google DeepMind, can OpenAI still maintain its dominance in algorithms? Let's zoom out. Before the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, countless companies claimed they were going to change the world, burning investor money along the way, only to leave behind rubble. During the solar industry bubble, people talked about covering the planet with solar panels, and countless factories eventually collapsed. Today, OpenAI is losing about $13 million per day, or roughly $5 billion per year. Without round after round of new funding, this company would already be bankrupt. From the perspective of traditional manufacturing, this doesn't look like innovation at all. It looks like a Ponzi scheme.
Of course, we can't deny OpenAI's greatness. It truly opened a new era and showed all of humanity what AI could become. But great dreams, if they're not grounded in reality, often turn into massive disasters. 2026 will be OpenAI's most dangerous year. According to projections, by 2026, OpenAI's annual losses could expand to $14 billion. And unless it delivers truly revolutionary monetization, like fully replacing junior programmers or convincing everyone to pay $200 a month for a subscription, the math simply doesn't work. Sam Altman isn't just competing with Google, he's racing against the laws of physics, against Moore's law, against data exhaustion, and most of all, against investor patience. This is a trillion-dollar gamble that cannot stop. Stopping means death. Continuing may mean falling into an even deeper abyss. For ordinary people like us, the final outcome of this war may not even matter. What matters is that we clearly see the business logic behind it. In the AI era, compute is the new oil, and data is the new gold. Companies like OpenAI are trying, at an extraordinarily high cost, to pave a road for humanity into this new world. But when that road reaches the end, who will pay the bill? Microsoft? SoftBank? Or every single person paying a subscription fee, you and me? And that brings us back to our opening question. Can $7 trillion buy the future? Altman's answer is very clear. If we don't gamble, we don't even get a ticket into the future. He believes brute force creates miracles. He believes that with enough resources, every physical limit can be broken. I'll leave you with one final thought. When 2033 arrives, do you think we'll see Sam Altman standing in front of 20 hyperscale AI data centers, smiling as he announces that AI now rules the world? No matter how this ends, we are all witnesses to history. Thank you for spending your valuable time watching this video. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. If you want to understand these topics more deeply, please like and subscribe. This is Money Daily. Follow me for more timely and accurate insights.